Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessings upon each and everyone who hears or sees this video. This is video 3 in an ongoing series of videos regarding misconceptions about Islam. And I want to talk in this video about terrorism. Terrorism has no place in Islam. You cannot be a Muslim and be committing acts of terror. You just cannot do that. But yet we're led to believe that Muslims have some type of inclination towards terrorism, or they're actually terrorists via social media and the news media, television, movies. We see this propaganda, these lies and spewed against Islam and Muslims continually, and so I want to address these issues. Once again, generally the media portrays Muslims as terrorists, regardless of whether or not Muslims are fighting justly or unjustly, or whether or not they're fighting against oppression, or if they're the oppressors themselves. All Muslims are put in this group, and people are led to believe that Muslims are trying to force others to accept Islam, and just on and on. We see this continually. And so the fact is that the majority of the people killed by terrorists are actually Muslims themselves. This is a fact that you can look into, and I ask you to please do so, because it is the truth. The overwhelming number of people killed by terrorism or terrorists is the Muslims themselves. Okay? Please look into this fact. The media doesn't tell you this, but that's the truth. Another fact is, and the Pew Research Center actually released this fact, which is that out of the 1.6 to 1.8 billion Muslims in the world, 0.00625%, that's less than 1% of those who call themselves Muslims, are actually engaged in any type of terrorist activities. Less than 1% of 1.6 to 1.8 billion Muslims in the world. Okay? If all these people, all these Muslims, if I was a terrorist and on down the line, we all had these terrorist inclinations that we're made to believe exist, then this would be a completely different world. Okay? So I want to address these issues, and we need to talk about the difference between fighting against oppression and actual acts of war, dealing with war. So let's get into it. This young man right here says, "I'm a Muslim, please don't hate me." But we have Islamophobes and people spewing anti-Islam, anti-Muslim rhetoric continually, and thinking that this little boy right here may grow up and be a potential terrorist one day. Right here we have this meme created by this Dustin Stockton guy, DustinStockton.com, which has a so-called Muslim woman. She has a black eye, and it's saying, if your religion promotes killing non-believers and beating women and punishing rape victims or selling your daughters as wives at 12, you're not praying to the God above, you're praying to the one below. Well, guess what, Dustin Stockton? You have been misled, and you're actually spewing hate and propaganda against Muslims and Islam, and most likely you have no earthly idea what you're talking about. Obviously you have no earthly idea what you're talking about, and I would like to actually talk to you, Dustin Stockton. My name is Kenny Bomer, Mujahid Al-Islam. Look me up on Twitter or my YouTube channel on Facebook if you'd like, because someone needs to set you straight. So Muslims in Islam actually do not promote killing non-believers, contrary to popular belief, or beating women, or punishing rape victims, or selling daughters at the age of 12. Absolutely not. That's ridiculous. But yet we see this type of thing in the media constantly and continually, all day, every day, and through social media. But the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, during times of war, where the Muslims were only fighting in defense, where they had been run out of their homes and their religion, they were being oppressed and not being able to practice their religion, and being killed and slaughtered, and they couldn't trade with anyone, they couldn't buy food, and on. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, issued these mandates to the Muslims that were engaged in these defensive battles, which are: do not kill a woman, don't kill an infant, don't kill the sick, don't betray, meaning don't go against your word. If you have a peace treaty in place, you're not to break the peace treaty. Don't destroy a place of worship. Don't kill an animal except to eat. Always keep a promise. Don't force anyone to don't try to force anyone to accept Islam. Don't cut a tree or any crops. Don't cut down any trees or destroy any crops. Don't kill a child. Don't kill an old man. Don't kill a priest not fighting against you. Never mutilate bodies. Don't destroy buildings. The planes being flown into the buildings on 9/11. This is not allowed in Islam. This is not a part of Islam. What right here? This is Islamic rules and Sharia. These are the Islamic laws that cannot be broken if you're a true Muslim. Do not destroy buildings. Be good to the prisoners. And forgive and release captives. Release people from slavery. Praise be to Allah. This verse right here is one that is used by Muslims quite often. Please focus on what's being said. If you're a non-Muslim, please focus on what's being said. There is no terrorism in Islam. It says in the Quran, in the 5th surah of the Quran, or chapter of the Quran, verse 32, it says, if anyone kills a person and it's not in retaliation of murder or against one who's spreading mischief in the land, it will be as if you've killed all of mankind. And if anyone saves one life, it's as if you've saved all of mankind. Once again, there's stipulations. You can only fight in self-defense. If someone strikes you, you have a right to strike them back, but you can't strike them a second time. All right? And so that's the truth. That is Sharia. These are the laws of Islam, the mandates of Islam. Praise be to Allah. This is the truth. But we have memes like this that if someone out there has made this, and you know who you are, which it says true facts about Islam, and actually this is all true lies about Islam, and each one of these things I encourage you to look into. If you've been led astray and you believe these things are true, please look into this from true Islamic sources, and you'll see that the Muslims are being taught, and it says in the Quran and the Hadith of things of the Prophet Muhammad, just the opposite of each and every one of these things. Let's start at number one. Muslims don't suffer terrorism attacks. Actually, that's not the truth. Once again, the vast majority of people killed by terrorists, the overwhelming number of people killed by terrorists are Muslims. Number two, Islam promotes violence. No, once again, you can only fight in self-defense. Fight those who fight you, but never become the aggressors. Muslims still believe in slaves. No, Islam liberated people from slavery, and many of the people that were taken as prisoners of war were treated so well by the Muslims that they actually accepted Islam because they were treated so well. And so slavery was abolished and done away with long before slavery was abolished in the United States of America. So let's keep going. Islam forces people to join their religion. No, that's like trying to force someone to play on your sports team that doesn't want to play the game at all. Not only do they not want to play on your team, they don't want to play this game at all. What good is it going to do you or your team? It's not. This is ridiculous. Allah, it says number 5, Allah is exclusively the God of Islam. That's ridiculous. Allah is the God that created Adam, our creator himself, who created Adam, peace and blessing be upon the prophet Adam. There are Arab-speaking Christians and Arab-speaking Jews that use the word Allah. The word Allah is mentioned in the Arabic Bible numerous times, and this is facts that you should look into if you believe otherwise. Number 6, females have no rights. No, once again, Islam liberated the woman, whereas the female infant back before the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, began to receive the revelation of the Quran, female infants were buried alive. Women were used as sex slaves. Women couldn't own property or have their own money. They were subservient to their husbands, and Islam actually liberated the woman and gives her her freedom and her rights. Doesn't force her to wear head coverings by no means. This is what the Islamic women, the Muslim women, do by her own choice, and her status is actually uplifted by doing so because she's not forced into accepting the norms of society that state that the woman must dress in a provocative manner to get attention. She has to have makeup on. She has to be having her body parts showing, this and that. In Islam, the woman doesn't have to do that. She's respected for her integrity and her dignity and her mind and her heart and how she conducts herself. Praise be to Allah. So this is lies. So it says Muslims don't believe in Jesus and Moses. That's contrary. That is a lie. In Islam, we accept all of the prophets of our God, our Creator. Jesus, peace and blessing be upon him, Moses, peace and blessing be upon him. Whereas in Christianity, they do not accept the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, and Jewish people do not accept Jesus, peace and blessing be upon him. We as Muslims must accept each and every one of the prophets of Allah. The Prophet Jesus, peace and blessing be upon him, is mentioned in the Quran 25 times by name, and there's a surah in the Quran called Surah Al-Maryam, which is the Mary, the mother of Jesus, and it talks all about Jesus, and we do believe that he's the Messiah, that he will return by the will of our God, our Creator, our God, and his God, our Lord and his Lord, to kill the Antichrist, break the cross, and kill the swine, and let's move on. So we do believe in Jesus and Moses, peace and blessing be upon him. This is a lie right here. Okay, so number 8, only terrorists are Muslims. Obviously not. People are walking into schools in the United States, killing people. That's a terrorist act. Man from a building, shooting from a building in Las Vegas, that's acts of terrorism. Just on and on. Walking into doctor's offices and killing people. These are all terrorist acts. And once again, number 9, all Muslims are terrorists. Obviously not. You cannot be a Muslim and be a terrorist at the same time. It's impossible. So, I ask you, look right here. This is Peter Griffin from the Family Guy, and he's decided during this episode to revert to Islam, and he's in a van with this so-called Muslim. This is not a Muslim, and they appear to be building a bomb. And we see stuff like this in the media constantly. We hear this type of rhetoric, poison being spewed into the veins, shot into the veins of society. It's poison, and it's causing people to believe things that are absolutely not true. So I encourage you to please seek truth from your Muslim neighbors, firemen, policemen, doctors, professors, teachers, your next door neighbor. Go to Muslims and ask what the truth is, instead of relying upon what you see in the media and social media and all this hearsay. I ask you to please do this, because you will realize that Islam is beautiful. Islam is the answer. I encourage you to consider Islam, where we say our Lord, our God is one. We associate no partners with him, and we accept each and every prophet of our God, our Creator. Peace and blessing be upon each and every prophet. I leave you by saying Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessings upon each and every one, regardless of what your religion is or lack thereof. Peace and blessing be upon you. Ask you to subscribe, like, and share this video for the sake of our God, our Creator. Ask him to forgive me for any mistakes that I've made, and to accept my efforts to share the beauty of Islam. Praise be to Allah.